Welcome to another episode of Undercard Heroes. My name is Francisco.
And I'm Heather.
And this weekend, the UFC is going back to Paris for Nassourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho. This one, I mean, those main card fights are really the Fighting Nerds versus France. And I'm excited to talk about those fights, plus one extra one.
Let's get into it. So what's the first fight you want to talk about?
First fight I want to talk about, Benoit Saint-Denis versus Mauricio Ruffy.
Mauricio Ruffy, you said he reminded you of somebody.
Yes, he's got a very similar fighting style to Conor McGregor. I see him as a more orthodox stance, Conor McGregor. Very wide karate stance, bouncy kind of style, crisp striking, powerful striker, very quick striker. And I can see him really putting that together against Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis, we've seen him get, exposed on the feet, and he really doesn't look like he can take that many shots. Dustin Poirier landed some clean shots that really hurt Benoit Saint-Denis, ultimately put him away. Renato Moicano, he was even, able to get him to the ground, landed a couple really good elbows that really split open, swelled up the eyes of Benoit Saint-Denis. So he doesn't really seem to be able to take shots that well. But he is a, heavy pressure striker, and that could really play to his advantage here. But ultimately, I see, Mauricio Ruffy just being a little bit too quick for him, a little too strong for him. Benoit Saint-Denis also does not have great striking defense, only 41% striking defense. So I can absolutely see Mauricio Ruffy taking advantage of that and ultimately getting a KO win here.
Is there any way that you think Benoit Saint-Denis could pull off a win here?
It's very possible. He's fighting in front of a home crowd here. Very, heavy pressure. If he can outlast Mauricio Ruffy and can implement that heavy pressure grappling ground game, I could see Benoit Saint-Denis grinding out a decision here. But ultimately, like I said, I'm going to go with Mauricio Ruffy to get the KO finish here. He's 4-0 in the UFC, 3 KO finishes, and Benoit Saint-Denis just doesn't have the kind of striking defense that it would take to withstand Mauricio Ruffy.
Interesting. Well, can't wait to see it. What's the next fight you want to talk about?
Nassourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho.
Now, you mentioned this one might be a boring fight. What do you mean by that?
Yes, it's very possible that this could be a boring fight, and it really comes down to the stylistic matchup between the two of them. Borralho, very patient fighter. He's got that, wide karate stance, likes to fight at range, likes to come in and out. And Nassourdine Imavov, also very patient fighter, mostly counter striker, likes to maintain range. So I could absolutely see the first, maybe 2 rounds of this fight really just being these two trying to establish range, trying to maintain range, trying to control range, and just sort of, circling around each other, maybe getting in a couple of shots, which is really unfortunate because, the winner of this fight, a dynamic win, could propel the winner into a fight against Khamzat. So personally, I'm more excited for the Fluffy Hernandez versus RDR fight that's happening later this year. I think that the winner of that fight is probably going to fight Chimaev. This fight, I can see this being a little bit boring in the beginning.
So who do you think is going to win?
Ultimately, I do think that Imavov is going to win this fight. I just think that he's got more fluid, crisper counter strikes. And I think that, if you take a look at the fight that Caio Borralho had against Jacek and Jared Cannonier in particular, Jacek in the beginning was having a lot of success in the striking against Borralho. Ultimately, Borralho had to rely on his takedowns to get him to the ground, submit him. But even Jared Cannonier, was having success when he switched stance, went to the southpaw stance, and then threw an overhand right, tried to put together some counters on Caio Borralho. He had success there. I think that that's where Nassourdine Imavov is really going to shine, is in his ability to fluidly switch between stances to set up his counter strikes. I think that Kyle Borralho, he mostly fights southpaw, and he tends to overextend himself sometimes when he does that. And so that's where Nassourdine Imavov, I think, can switch stances, counter, and then chain counter after that. So, put on some combinations following up those counters. So that's where I think that he's going to find a lot of success. And then what's going to happen is Kyle Borralho is going to have to rely on his takedowns. So soon as that starts happening and Nassourdine Imavov starts to chain together these counters, look for Kyle Borralho to really try and land some takedowns and implement his grappling game. And that's where Nassourdine Imavov's 78% takedown defense is going to come in handy for him. So I think that he's going to be able to stuff those takedowns. I think he's going to be better at striking. And ultimately, I think he's going to get a decision win over Kyle Borralho.
Well, you said it might be boring, but you made it sound pretty interesting to me, so I'm looking forward to it.
It should be a pretty good fight. Kyle Borralho, he could win this if he's able to implement those takedowns. But like I said, his 78% takedown defense, Imavov's, are ultimately, I think, what are going to make the difference here, plus his counter-striking.
All right. Sounds good to me.
I told you guys that I had an extra bonus pick for you, and that is going to be Patricio Pitbull over Losine Quienta. Losine Quienta, he's an Octagon champion, coming in with a lot of hype. He's a heavy favorite to beat Patricio Pitbull, but I think that is going to come with some pressure. And, we've seen recently how other UFC fighters making their debut have reacted to that pressure, and it has not gone well. So Patricio Pitbull, he's already been there. He's gotten a win in the UFC, and I think that Losine Quienta is going to come in. He's going to try and knock Pitbull out early, probably get caught overextending, and then Patricio Pitbull will drag him to the ground and really show his experience here. So I'm going with Patricio Pitbull as a bonus bet.
Thank you for watching another episode of Undercard Heroes.
So what do you think about Francisco's picks? Is there anything we missed? Anything you disagree with? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thanks, everyone.